Hello, and welcome to Tuesday Talks with Mom. I'm Tera Myers, and I am so glad you're here. As part of Moms on a Mission, we're empowering moms across the country to stand up and advocate for their children's educational freedom. As a mom of an adult son with Down syndrome, I've walked this road, navigating the school system and fighting for the right to choose the best education for my child. And now I'm here to share that journey with you. Every 2 weeks, we'll sit down with different moms from around the country and provide thoughtful advice and share our experiences. Together, we're building a community of moms who are finding their voices, taking action, and making a difference. Welcome to Tuesday Talks with Mom. Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Tuesday Talks with Mom. And I am so excited to be joined tonight by Mandy Drogin, who's the campaign director of Next Generation Texas, as well as an expert in K 12 education. Mandy, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Well, this is really exciting. A lot of things are happening in the state of Texas. The whole nation has had their eyes on Texas as we look at school choice and what that will mean for parents and especially for our students. So I don't want to waste time with anything else but to just dive right in and say, Mandy, tell us what we can look forward to.
Well, parents can be so confident and be excited about what is going to be rolled out here in about 6 months in Texas. We just signed or I should say, Governor Abbott just signed with
I love
our
it.
support and the moms across Texas's help of advocating and pushing and encouraging, just signed the most comprehensive, largest day one program in the entire country's history. This education savings account will be revolutionary for the state of Texas and, quite frankly, for the rest of the country, because we have laid down a model that can be replicated, that other states can aspire to ensure that every single parent across their state, and hopefully soon every single parent across America, has the agency and the ability to select the very best school that will serve their children. So what we're seeing now is we have a new comptroller in place as of last week, and their team is working on the rules for the program as well as the RFP process to select the Certified Education Administration organization, which will help administer it. And in about 6 months, in January of 2026, parents can start applying for education savings accounts so that they can utilize that funding to send their child to whatever school that they deem will best serve them, rather than the school they are dictated simply because they live on a specific street. It's very exciting here in Texas right now.
Well, this is great. For all the parents out there that are new to this, who are,
Mhm.
thinking there's no way out, there's no options, could you explain a little bit what an education savings account is? Just give them an
Yes.
overview of that.
Yes, absolutely. So an education savings account is grounded in the fundamental belief that made America the most benevolent and greatest country that's ever existed, and that's freedom. Freedom for individuals to select the school that will serve their child, the place that they live, the place they work, the place they worship and shop. And that translates into, we have had a system where you were forced to go to a school based on the street you lived on and the zip code you were in. And that has not worked. It's not been successful for our students. Here in Texas, about 50% of kids cannot read on grade level. We have graduated literally millions of students over the past several decades, and they can't read, they can't do math, they cannot reach their full potential in life because they weren't in the right learning environment. So, an education savings account empowers parents to be able to utilize the funding that we as a state agree every child should be funded to attend the best school for them. And they are able to take that funding, or a portion of the funding that we have appropriated for our students attending public schools. It's about 85% of the weighted average daily attendance funding, or a little over $11,000 here in Texas. And they can use that to pay for private school tuition, therapy, tutoring, uniforms, co-curriculars, homeschool materials, career and technical education if you're in the higher grades and maybe you want to go become a certified plumber or an electrician or a welder or whatever it is, you now have that opportunity to start that path to complete that journey in your education at your parents' directive rather than at the government's directive. So these ESAs can be applied for again in early 2026. And if there's enough money appropriated, it's about $1 billion for roughly 100,000 kids in Texas to utilize them in the first year. So that's the first year. We definitely expect the program to grow based on demand, and that was written into the law. So we expect to see about 100,000 kids where parents apply for the ESA. Every parent across the great state of Texas is eligible. Every child that is eligible to attend our public schools are eligible to utilize the ESA. And then if you are one of the ones that gets the ESA, one of the 100,000, assuming that there will be more than 100,000 parents apply, then you'll be able to use that education savings account to direct funding to the school, the therapies, the learning environment of your choice. So that's an
That is
ESA. That's what we've got going on here.
That's awesome. And I often say, being a mom who's been through this journey, who fought and cried half the time thinking, is there ever going to be an option for all three of my children? Worried so much that if there was an option that they wouldn't be eligible or that they would run out of spaces prior to. So
Yeah.
what do you recommend for parents in order to be ready for when the rules come out and the process starts?
Mhm.
What do you recommend for them to kind of be in queue, so to speak?
Sure. So I would encourage parents txparentsmatter.com. That's txparentsmatter.com and sign up with that. I'll communicate with you. I will, myself and our entire broad coalition, over 30 different organizations in Texas and across the country, will be communicating with you and telling you, the application is going to go live. It's really important for families to know that every single child in the state of Texas is eligible. We call it universal eligibility. Everyone is eligible, even though there's a fairly limited 100,000 ESAs available. And I say that because we want any parent that absolutely needs another choice or that just wants to have that as a back burner. If there's maybe some things going on at your school that you're assigned and sending your children to that you're not sure about, you don't like, their IEP isn't being met, maybe they're being bullied, and you just kind of want to have it in your back pocket, you should apply. It'll be in January when that you can apply for these ESAs. Parents should know that part of this great piece of legislation that was vital to all of us fighting the mission was, number one, yes, every single child should be eligible. We have prioritized it specifically for our most disadvantaged students, which are low income and special education students. So they will receive first access at the money for the ESAs and the allotment of the ESA. But every other parent should be applying as well. We have it where that it's the priority is low income and special needs first. That's kind of at the top of the prioritization, then low income or special needs, and middle income. The $160,000 mark, so it's 500% of the federal poverty line. We wanted to make sure that families who are considered middle income, that they were also a priority, because a lot of times these families, they can't afford a private school, but they're also not considered poor or in poverty. And so it's really, really important. But again, everyone is eligible. And the great thing is that this will be in place for 1 year before we come back to the legislature in the year 2027, which is just about 18 months away. It's going to be here before we know it. And it's
Right.
written in law that the legislature can increase the appropriation up to meet the wait list. So again, if you're not sure, if you want to, give schools a little bit more time to figure it out, I still encourage you to apply so that you kind of have it on the back burner. You have the option there if you need it. And hopefully, and what we're already seeing is that now that ESAs have passed, the public schools are really getting with it. They're starting to to do surveys, ask parents what they need, be more responsive. We can see it in the news, we can see it in social media. So it's already working. We're already seeing the schools be more responsive to parents as their customers, as opposed to the unions and the associations and the organizations that have historically controlled so much of education with little concern for student outcomes.
Well, Mandy, that is just, it's phenomenal. I mean,
Yeah.
you've thought of the drafters of this bill have really thought of everything. I know you were instrumental in this process all along, and being moms, we look for all of those things that will matter to parents, kind of cover the bridge, so to speak, make sure that we have the ample spread to get across the bridge. And it just sounds like Texas truly is going to be, go big or go home, as they always do. So
Yeah.
that's so exciting to hear. And like you said early on, this sets the stage for the rest of the nation. And there are
That's right.
parents that I hear from on a weekly basis that are
Mhm.
struggling and their state doesn't offer anything, or even parents that have been bullied into believing that choice is a bad thing. And it's like,
Mhm.
you don't have, that's the beautiful thing about choice. You don't have to take advantage of it. But
Right.
if you need the help, you need options. And that is what we're offering. And I'm just so excited about this for parents and for children, most importantly
Right.
for our children. Um, Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, yeah, one of the, we kind of locked arms with moms and dads all across the great state of Texas, including parents and teachers that were in the public schools who have seen a radical shift in the past decade in the curriculum, in so much of the identity politics that's being crammed into our classrooms, the hypersexualization that's going on, the increased use of technology. I mean, we're talking kindergartners being handed iPads to their work on. I mean, all of these different aspects of education that, quite frankly, we have so many teachers that are very frustrated about. What this does is it really does put power back into both teachers and parents' hands, even if you want to choose the public school down the street, because now you have the leverage. Now you can push back on the administrators and the superintendents and those that are saying, oh, yes, we think it's a great idea for kids to stare at computers all day, and say, nay, nay, we're not going to do that with my child, or I will leave, I can leave. And the same thing for teachers. In Texas, we've really had a monopsony, not a
Yes.
monopoly, but a monopsony. And that's the one place when there's only one location that you can go and sell, if you will, or offer your goods and services. And that's been really hard for teachers because there is a limited number of locations, meaning the public schools, that they can go and be a teacher. And for those teachers that have that calling, which most of them do, and they want to go serve students, and they don't want to be burdened with a lot of the administrative nonsense, they don't want to have to, teach to the lowest common denominator, meaning they can't discipline their students. Teachers are excited. In fact, we just hosted an event at Texas Southern last week, and we had teachers from Houston ISD and surrounding districts come in and say, I'm here to learn about how I can start a school for students. And
Yes.
so it was so exciting and encouraging. Parents and teachers and the general public alike are fired up. They're excited about seeing this program implemented. And the more parents that learn about it, the more teachers that learn about it, and the more Texans that understand what this is going to do and support it, I'm going to guarantee you we're going to see Texas from going from really close to the bottom, and we're just like so many other states that have school choice, we're going to see our kids shoot to the top. And I cannot wait for that day, because as a mom of three, I have an 8-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that not only am I preparing them, obviously that's my most important goal, but I look around at their peers. I look around at the society they'll live in, and I want to see every kid receive an amazing education so that they can perpetuate the freedoms and the prosperity that Americans are enjoying today.
I love it. And I support all of that because, Mandy, nothing is worse than feeling like you have an entire generation who are ill prepared to
Yeah.
be our doctors and our lawyers and our entrepreneurs. So this is fabulous. And yeah, that's very, very exciting. The best part too, I mean, what helped get us out from the trenches were the teachers and the
That's
therapists.
right.
And,
Mhm.
they helped me, the mom who truly believed in public education. I was a product of public education, and I had
Right. Me
good
too.
aspirations, right? Yes. And when it wasn't working and the teachers and I were struggling, and it was the administration and the unions and all of this red tape, those were the individuals that came alongside me and said,
Mhm.
here's some things that you could do if you could only get access to the funds. And so I was so grateful when we were finally able to do that. But those teachers
Mhm.
oftentimes get the bottom end of the stick. They don't get the freedoms to actually do what they
That's
are
right.
called to do. So this is just, and
Mhm.
I've seen it in our area as well. You mentioned it earlier, but just to emphasize that again, when there's competition and there is bargaining chips brought on, and you bring parents to the table and you bring teachers to the table, and collaboration can happen, you do rise the cream to the top. The schools start to do better, students start to do better. Some
Mhm.
students that took advantage of choice when my children were in that arena ended up going back to their public school because the public schools got it right. And
Yeah,
it's not an us against them, it's a both and. It's that
that's
one
right.
size does not fit all. We
Mhm.
cannot meet the needs of every single student in one structure, in one,
Mhm.
option, but we can meet the students and the families' needs and the teachers' needs when we offer variety in an a la carte menu. So I
100%.
yeah,
That's exactly what we're gonna see.
yeah, this is fabulous. So, Mandy, is there anything else that you want to share? We have a couple minutes left. Is there
Yeah.
anything else that you feel is crucial, or maybe even just a topic that you want to brush upon, to just let parents, maybe there's some things that parents have brought to your attention, or
Yeah.
any, I don't know, any myths out there that you feel like parents need to, this is your arena to just debunk anything or to encourage anything.
Sure. So I know that there are parents and leaders from all across the country that watch this, and so I really want to encourage those great school leaders. Look, Texas, we will surpass Florida and other states. We educate over 10% of our nation's children, so we do expect this to really change a lot of lives. We need to make sure that not only the parents know that every single child, yes, your child, even if you're middle com or currently in a private school or high income, your child is eligible as well. But we also want to make sure that great suppliers know, those that are
Yeah,
operating great schools in other states. Look, we have it in there. You have to be an accredited school. You have to be accredited, which you can either go through TEPSAC, which is the 19 different accrediting bodies in Texas, or the TEA. But also, what's really great is we know from seeing 30 plus states across the country that have private school programs that there are phenomenal providers, accredited schools that are outside of Texas. We invite you in, come check us out, reach out to me. We can put you in contact with the right people to help you get on that process. We want to see excellent education options come into Texas and really be prepared to serve our students, recognizing that a one size fits all system does not serve every child. And while we can love our public schools, we also want to make sure that great providers are here. So I do want to encourage every parent in Texas to apply. And I want to encourage great operators in Texas and outside of Texas to
yeah.
really get involved and be prepared to receive these students so that you can educate them and do what you do best.
Oh, I love it. Again, the both and idea of bringing people
Absolutely.
together to solve the problem, and
Yes.
everybody wins. And I asked a week and a half ago in Washington, why would anyone want to prevent a parent from making the best possible educational choice for their child? I would
Yeah.
never want that label put on me at the end of the day. So I think that everyone's going to start seeing the benefit of getting on board with making options available for students.
Absolutely.
Mandy, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, for educating families and teachers and fellow states to join in on all big things that are happening in Texas. Thank you for sharing your information. I look forward to anybody out there that wants to reach out to Mandy. She is more than willing to send you in the right direction and get you the resources that you need. So thank you so much for coming on today. I appreciate it. And
Of
thank you
course.
for watching.
Thanks, y'all.